Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here, got another Master Duel video for you, and it's time for the latest selection pack, Starved for Destruction. So like we do with every selection pack, we are going to go through the pack, take a look at all the different URs that are available here, and decide just how good they are for each of their respective decks. Not only that, but I'll also be showing you just how good I think each of these decks are going to be. So yeah, let's not waste any more time and let's check out this new selection pack. Starving Venom Wing Dragon is one of the new boss monsters for Predaprimitive in the most recent wave of support. It's a fusion pendulum monster, and it does require using a clear wing monster as a material, but in exchange, you get to not only take the attack points of your opponent's monsters, but also negate their effects as well as destroying cards on the field. So Predaprimitive does end up being a lot better with this follow-up support. However, from what I can tell in my research, the inclusion of Starving Venom Wing Dragon is very optional. So if you are interested in checking out Predaprimitive, then I would say that this is a, you know, if you pull it, you could try it out, but if you don't, I wouldn't necessarily worry about it if you're like on a budget or anything. It is a very fun option. It's a very flashy boss monster with some pretty solid effects, but I don't know exactly how reliably you can summon this thing. And as a result, I think that it's probably going to be one that you don't play more often than not, but one you could still try. Princess Dracaena, the Thirsting Tree, aka Predaprimitive Circular. Although not a Predaprimitive card by name, this card was pretty much custom made for the archetype. I mean, it locks you into only being able to summon dragons and plants after you use it, so it's pretty obvious where it's intended to be used here, right? It's a pretty interesting card. It's also a tuner, so that way you can go for some Synchro shenanigans as well, because of course the Predaprimitive archetype does tangentially care about being able to make clear wing stuff for, you know, stuff like clear wing Venom Dragon and all that kind of thing. This card is really solid for Predaprimitive for sure though. You'll definitely want to pick up a full playset if you are interested in the deck. As far as how good Predaprimitive is with this support and this card in particular, I think it'll be upper rogue for sure. It's definitely put up a decent amount of results in paper play, but nothing like, it's not like out here consistently topping, you know, big tournaments or anything. But it is a very much needed upgrade for the archetype for sure to help it stay relevant with modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Predaprimitive is a very powerful new spell card from the Predaprimitive archetype. Technically, if you really want to be the most, you know, pushing of glasses, wow, actually, technically about it, this card is kind of generic. Like, you don't need to control a Predaprimitive card or anything. You just have to be able to send one from the deck to the graveyard. But with that deck building requirement and the fact that this locks you into dragons and plants, this really is only going to end up seeing play in Predaprimitive. I did find like an occasional like Dracaena list that was teching this card, but not consistently by any means. But for Predaprimitive, this is a very powerful tech choice, right? It has the ability to search out polymerization spells or fusion spells from the deck to the hand. That does include cards like super polymerization, or I think someone, when I talked about instant fusion being unbanned, was like, well, this can technically search instant fusion, which yeah, it definitely can. I think Predaprimitive does even have like a smaller fusion monster they wouldn't mind summoning off of that now that I think about it. But as far as like trying to use this spell card in like any old deck to do something like search instant fusion, no. I would definitely not recommend it. Again, unless you really want to not only have to play Predaprimitive cards in your deck, but also, you know, be locked into plants and dragons. But that said, I do think this card is really solid. And if you are interested in Predaprimitive, you're going to want to pick up a full playset of 3 for sure. It's a very potent spell card for the deck, no doubt about it. Starving Venom Fusion Dragon for Heavenly Dragons is a new version of Starving Venom that, like the previous iteration, has the material requirements of 2 dark monsters. This one is 2 dark monsters on the field. So this does actually end up being a pretty solid super poly target. Like the other Starving Venom, the older one, has also been used for in the past. Now, in the past, it's been overshadowed definitely by both Mud Dragon and Garura as super poly targets, because those confuse with any attribute, whereas Starving Venom wants specifically dark monsters. However, this version of Starving Venom is absolutely worth a consideration against Mud Dragon and Garura, because although it does require specifically dark monsters as material, one, dark monsters are very common anyway, so it's not that hard to make, and 2, this has the ability to also negate the effects of monsters and drop their attack points to 0, or one face-up monster by targeting it when it is special summoned. So it's a board breaker for not just whatever materials you're fusing away, but you can also then keep breaking your opponent's board afterward. Not only that, but it's got a quick effect that allows you to fusion summon when your opponent activates a card or effect, meaning of course you could also be doing it on their turn. So especially if you're playing a fusion-based deck like Branded, this is a very good consideration for a Super Poly target. Even a deck like Branded, you could consider making this outside of Super Poly, right? Would be very easy to make and allow you to keep fusion summoning. So I would definitely pick up a copy of this card for sure. Even if you're not planning on playing like a fusion-based deck, if you've got Super Polys, this is going to be one of the better targets you could consider. Teller of Fairy Tales is the boss monster for the latest wave of support. I think the first direct wave of support actually for the Fairy Tale archetype, but it's quite powerful. So the main selling point of this monster is that it's going to be part of your turn 1 end board for its Omni Negate effect. It can banish a Fairy Tale card from your hand or graveyard to negate the activation and destroy of any opponent's activated card or effect. Being a negate and destroy is exceptionally powerful. It does also have somewhat of a board wipe option. There's the effect where if it's fusion summoned using Prince of Fairies as a material, then you can destroy, as many cards your opponent controls as possible. Prince of Fairies is not an actual card, which sounds kind of weird, but basically the idea is that some, or at least one of the Fairy Tale cards, can change the name of your opponent's monsters to Prince of Fairies, and then you can use it as fusion material. That's not something that I think will be happening like every single game by any means, but it is another decent option. So you'll definitely want at least one copy if you're going to be on Magus' Fairy Tale, but I've seen quite a few builds on 2. So if you pull a second one, I would definitely hang on to it if you're interested in trying the deck. As far as how good the deck is, it's pretty solid, honestly. I've been doing some testing with it, and obviously I should have already put out the guide for it by now that I've been working on. So it can put out a lot of negates, and it's got a lot of other forms of disruption as well. I think it's going to be at least a tier 3 deck, but I think it could even be tier 2 in the current Master Duel meta. We'll have to see, but again, if you are interested in this deck, definitely pick up at least 1, but up to 2 copies for your Fairy Tale deck. Fairy Tale Matchgiru is a pretty important new piece of support for the latest wave of Fairy Tale cards. I actually have already made a whole video going over Fairy Tale, Magus' Fairy Tale, which I do think is going to be the best breakout deck from this pack. So if you're interested in checking that out, head to the link in the description below. I should have it linked down there. Hopefully I remember to do that. But yeah, this card is pretty important extender for the archetype. You will often be either dumping this off of the Wiccat, or sometimes you can even, what is the other way you get to it? Do you just search it off of Luna? No, you don't go normal summon Luna, search Matchgiru. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. Jeez, I just made that whole video, like I said, and now I already forgot. But in any case, yeah, it's not really much of a starter, so you don't need 3 copies. I'd say 1 to 2 is perfectly fine. Probably 2, I think, would be the way to go, but either way, honestly, 1 or 2 should be fine. If you only pull the 1, you can definitely just start with the 1, but you definitely will want this from Magus' Fairy Tale. It is a very important addition to the deck for sure. Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Gustav Max is another new boss monster. I say another new one because every one of these rank 10 Earth Machine monsters feels like its own boss, but this one is an upgraded form of Gustav Max, which infamously deals 2k damage by detaching a material and can end a lot of games doing that. So this one can also burn, but it's also got an Omni Negate effect on it, meaning that you actually have a pretty solid turn 1 end board option now for this sort of train Earth Machine level 10 archetype. And I actually was able to find a couple of instances of Crystron, another machine-based deck, actually pairing up with those level 10 machines, and this card being used in that. So I'm willing to call this card upper rogue in power level, regardless of if you're playing the Crystron variant or just good old-fashioned Earth Machine. I think you'll only need 1 single copy though, but it is quite a good card, and if you are interested in either of those variants, you should absolutely pick it up for sure. Night Train Blue Traveler is a pretty good new support card for the Train archetype or level 10 Earth machines, however you want to refer to them, being able to search up 2 of your better spell cards from the deck or even graveyard to the hand, which is really, really nice. Not only that, but it's also an extender from the graveyard after you discard it to then search something. So, yeah, the Night Train Blue Traveler is going to be a definite 3 of if you're interested in that train archetype. But I do think that archetype is pretty decent, especially when combined with Crystron. It seems to have gained a decent bit of popularity, mostly in the TCG from what I can tell, which you might think, oh, that's just Genesis, right? But no, it actually has seen, you know, some play in standard format tournaments as well, and it sees some play in the OCG as well. I'll call it Upper Rogue, and if you are looking to try out trains or their Crystron variant, you definitely want to pick up a full play set of 3 copies of this card for sure. Exstellarknight Constellar Ptolemy Omega 7 is the new boss monster for the Tellarknight or Constellar archetype. This is designed, I believe, to work with both, because it does have both Tellarknight and Constellar in the name, which I'm pretty sure is a consistent theme with this latest wave of support. So, like a lot of the other Tellar boss monsters, this one cares about having a lot of materials, but unlike the one that lets you, you know, win the game or cheat into a rank up, this one just kind of becomes a big towers monster. Not only that, but can also detach as a quick effect to shuffle a bunch of cards back, up to the number of materials you detach. So a very potent boss monster, and I was kind of surprised when I was looking at my research. It definitely does seem like Tellarknight is at least a little bit better than I thought it was. I thought it was going to be like a lower rogue deck, but I'll put it in upper rogue because it has put up some decent results in paper play in tournaments. Like, it's not, you know, a mainstay part of the meta, but it's shown up here and there. So yeah, I think that this will be an upper rogue deck with the new support. You only need 1 copy from what I can tell. It doesn't seem like anybody runs any more than 1 of this in their Constellar, Tellarknight, Tellar, whatever you want to call them, decks. X-Saber Gottoms, and you might be kind of confused, like, wait, isn't X-Saber Gottoms already the name of a card? No, the level 9 is double X-Saber Gottoms. It's 2 X's. This is just 1, but this is one of the new pieces of support for X-Saber and their new boss monster. And unfortunately, X-Saber, I can't put any higher than lower rogue, which is a really shame. I don't think the deck is terrible. I do love X-Saber quite a bit. I have a lot of fond memories of playing them when they first got support, like Fall Troll way back in Ancient Prophecy, I think was the pack. But yeah, as much as I like X-Saber, I really cannot call it any higher than like lower rogue, because I just could not find any examples of X-Saber being used, like even at a local level in either the TCG or OCG, which is a bit of a shame. That said though, I mean, this card is still like obviously pretty solid for the deck. Being able to search upon summon is pretty nice, but yeah, I think overall the archetype is still a little bit on the weaker side for sure. Clear Wing Synchro Dragon for Heavenly Dragons is an interesting card. It is generic, like the original Clear Wing Synchro Dragon in terms of, like, you know, the number of materials required, but it's treated as a Speedroid card, and with its quick effect, it definitely seems intended to support more of that Speedroid strategy than anything else, right? Being able to summon out a level 4 lower tuner from the hand or graveyard and then synchro summon a wind monster as a quick effect is pretty nice, but yeah, definitely will only see play in a certain subsect of decks. Surprisingly, in my research, I actually found that Elf Note Synchron makes use of this card occasionally. Not all the time, but keep in mind too, this is in the OCG, so when I say Elf Note Synchron, they've also got the overframe support, like Synchro Emergency and Starjunk Synchron. But this card is occasionally used over there, and I do think that is, like, at the very least an upper rogue, if not tier 3 deck. So I'll call this an upper rogue power level card. It doesn't seem like Speedroid itself has gotten a significant boost from this card, because it doesn't look like they have, you know, Speedroid as an archetype has done too much since this card has been released, but I still think it's a pretty decent card. It is a little bit of a shame that the special summon effect, or rather I should say, you know, destroying an opponent's monster and then getting the attack is only when it's special summoned, so it's not a quick effect with the other clearing monsters. So the only real interactivity this card has is to synchro summon into something else. But Obviously, with a level 1 Wind Tuner, this can very easily go into Crystal Wing. They probably want you to go into the upgraded Clear Wing forms with this, which do have those kind of disruption effects. So, not horrible, but it's pretty limited in the scope of what it's used in. So, I won't even hard recommend one copy. I'll say like 0 to 1, and I'll call this an upper rogue power level card. Fidelis Harmonia. At this point, I think I've already made multiple videos on the channel about this one card, including a recent upload wherein I talked about 5 decks that you would want to use Fidelis Harmonia in. Definitely check that out if you haven't already. I'll try to link it in the description or comments below. But this card is one that will absolutely be shaping the metagame, not just right now, but in sets moving forward as well. Fidelis Harmonia is an extremely powerful hand trap that can not only summon itself when your opponent activates a monster effect. That's people they control, yes. So when that happens, it can not only special summon itself, but then it can send one of your 5 revealed Synchro monsters from the extract to the graveyard, and also destroy a monster the opponent controls. It doesn't even have to be the same one that activated its effect. And of course, by sending a Synchro monster from your extract to the graveyard, you can get more disruption with something like Ending Master Packbit, the Cloud Beast Malong, the Wind Pegasus at Ignister, or you can dump something like Herald of the Arclight and get a search for a ritual monster. Now, it locks you into only being able to use the effects of Synchro monsters in terms of cards special summoned from the extra deck until the end of your next turn. So there is that clause on it. It's not completely generic. However, there are a lot of good decks right now. Obviously, Cool Tune and Elf Note are kind of chief among them, where you would really want this kind of card for its powerful hand trap effect that doesn't disrupt your main strategy too badly. You can also consider this for ritual decks, but again, by sending Herald of the Arclight, you can search up your Mitsurugi Habakiri, right? Or in the upcoming Ritual of Light and Darkness deck, the sort of Magician of Black Chaos slash Blackluster Soldier retrain deck, that also very much likes playing Harmonia to be able to dump the Herald and search up those cards as well. So yeah, all in all, I would say any Synchro deck, any Ritual deck, any deck that doesn't need its extra deck should really be considering playing Fidelis Harmonia. Very powerful, and expect to see it a lot, not only upon release, but in metas to come. All right, that is going to do it for our review of this latest selection pack. So definitely let me know what you think in the comments below. I think there are some pretty interesting things available here, and while individually it might look like, it's all kind of weak, I think that if you are interested in at least one of the archetypes here, then that, in addition to staples like Fidelis Harmonia and the new Starving Venom Super Poly Target, do make for some excellent pickups. So again, I'm interested to hear what you think in the comments below as well. Definitely let me know. But thanks for watching, super appreciate the support. And now we're going to move on to the outro so we can thank our YouTube members and Patreon subscribers. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Thank you so very much for watching all the way to the very end of the video, which by the way is one of the best ways to support the channel. Speaking of supporting the channel, take a look at the names on screen. These are folks who have been so generous as to either join as a YouTube member or subscribe over on patreon.com/Hexlex to support. There's also perks for doing so. If you would like to see YouTube videos early, as well as some exclusive videos that get uploaded to YouTube, but for one reason or another I decide not to publish, definitely go ahead and hit that join button to see content early, as well as some exclusive content. If you're looking for more exclusive content, over on patreon.com, I upload exclusive videos that are not posted on YouTube just about every single day. Whether you choose to subscribe over on Patreon, join as a YouTube member, or simply continue to watch, your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so very much. But for now, this is Hexlex. I am signing out, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.